All right, and we're back. Judd'z Budz, episode, it's even smaller than usual. 96. As always, your host, Smoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how we doing?
We're doing all right, but it's definitely a 2-beer night after first day back in the physical office since taking some leave. So, be fun.
Oh, gross, disgusting, ugly. I am drinking nice beer, night shift. It's not like a high life, so that's really new for me.
Wow.
Hopefully it really gets me fired up here. By the way, episode 96, aka the Pierre-Marc Bouchard episode. Shout out.
Might as well call it the Spinorama episode.
Hell yeah. Just that guy was just spitting. I mean, yeah, no, phenomenal. Love that guy.
We've got
agency.
Free agency. Hazy IPA from the good folks over at Loose Line Brewing for my first beer. Yeah, I don't know. It pretty much says it all.
It's a very neat can. Like it just feels like it's just got its shit together to let
very
you
clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not overwhelming and it doesn't look like so basic that it's like, oh, you didn't do anything. Like they understood the assignment. They did no more because they did not need to do more. And I appreciate it.
Yeah. That's the working class beverage for oh, there you go. Oh, that's nice.
A good one.
That was an audible.
This one is good. This is one of the places, Z, once you get out here, assuming you actually follow through on coming out here for the Frozen Four, this is one of the places we'll definitely be going.
Wild card, bitches. Yeah, no, that's the plan. So today we're gonna do our best to go prospect heavy. We'll touch on a few things NHL Wild related. And then we'll just jump right into the old prospect roundup, touch on some new developments just with CHL trade deadline just ended. Fucking Hunter Hate Saginaw Spirit absolutely fucking loaded up. They're hosting the Mem Cup this year, so they're making a big push, obviously. Moose Jaw, so they did their business early with Kalen Parker at the beginning of the year. They made some more additions, including Buffalo Sabres prospect Matthew Savoy. So we'll touch on that. But I mean, just to get the NHL stuff out of the way, Minnesota Wild, they're back. It's official. They're back. Best team in the league
for like 2 or 3 days, right?
Yeah. All jokes aside, though, that was a complete and utter shit kicking of the New York Islanders. Like it was a shit kicking.
Yeah, right after absolutely receiving the same shit kicking a couple days prior.
Yeah, no, short memory, we're moving on. It's the old cliches. But specifically one of the things I really wanted to just start with in terms of that game, if you think I listened to 1 second outside of the weirdest soundbite that BALLY Sports could have possibly used for that Bill Guerin press conference, like the media availability that he did, if you think I listened to a single second of that, again, other than the weirdest clip that BALLY could have used before the game started, you are out of your mind. Because the second I saw the tweet, Bill Guerin having media availability before the game or whatever, in the afternoon, I was just
vanilla bullshit.
I don't know what's going to make me more angry. The fucking horseshit about how I just know he's going to say, oh, no, we're not giving up yet. Whatever. We're still pushing to make the playoffs and make a push in the playoffs here. Or if I was going to get more mad at the people being like, oh, what an idiot. How is he this man a general manager and president of hockey hubs? Self-proclaimed. So I just decided not to watch, listen, read about it. Still made it onto my timeline, but BALLY Sports actually, the one soundbite and clip that they used was him just being like, yeah, we're not going to fold. And, as far as I'm concerned, we're going to keep pushing and got a good team here. And, obviously it hasn't gone as well. And then he just stopped talking for like 8 seconds and goes, so that's it. Yeah. We're just going to keep going.
I mean, can you imagine though, how sick would it be if he came up and he's just like, yo guys, actually, there's some good players this year in the draft and Judd says we should tank. So yeah, we're aiming for like roughly the 5th overall pick.
Yeah, Kirill, we're gonna loan you out to Siska Moscow for a little bit here, just till the end, so we can,
Dude, I'm on record several times. They need to allow player loaning. Like, you should be able to trade a player for the end of the season, for the postseason, on like the terms that they get sent back. Or you should at least be able to then execute a trade to get that player back immediately after. Like, there needs to be more flexibility. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it fucking rocks. Like, again, this year I am back into like the Premier League soccer because the team that I, like an idiot, chose to support when I was younger is the most painful team to root for on planet Earth. Like, so much worse than anything possible. But like, they're fun again this year. But like, it's electric. Like, they put out a tweet. We've recalled like this player that we had out on loan. Like, they'll loan out all their really young, fucking really good players aren't ready to play in the Premier League yet or whatever. So they'll go play like Division 2 or 3 in England. And like, we've recalled them from their loan. 10 minutes later, we have sent them back out on loan to a different team in the same division. It's like, this is fucking insane, dude. So that would make it way more fun if you were just like, hey, Arizona Coyotes, here you go. Just a little bit. Actually, you know what? They're driving me nuts the other night. Again, they played both games actually with the just an absolute fucking pumping of Minnesota. But the game against fucking Boston, I think it was last week. Days are blending together at this point. Liam O'Brien drives me fucking insane. So you know what? They don't get any fun players, but we're gonna pick a different team. Vancouver. So that's way more fun.
They are fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Fair. But got to continue with that game against the Islanders, though. Marc-Andre Fleury. What a way to get back. Well, not get back. You can't really. Couldn't have gone to and from. Second all time in wins. Does it with the shutout. Great performance. And it was just like, with the absolute shitstorm of negativity this entire season's been for Minnesota, that was just a very nice night. Like, he's been trying to get there for it feels like he's been on the precipice of like getting second overall in wins for so long, but this team can't fucking win a game of hockey. So just like, it felt like it took forever. But what a performance. Again, they played amazing. They kicked the shit out of the Islanders, and the Islanders are in a slump of their own, but still in a playoff spot. So there you go. Still a playoff team. So
the Metro's a mess, but
it's ridiculous.
It was awesome. Did you see though? He went on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. So he jumped on there, which, I mean, McAfee loves him. McAfee's a big Pittsburgh homer guy, so they're all about their Penguins and the Steelers. But he offered up that if Marc-Andre Fleury scores a goal the rest of this season, he's throwing $250K to a like nonprofit or a benefit of his choice.
So the Minnesota Wild cap, just
the cap relief fund. Yes.
What can they do? What can they do for us?
Okay. But
shout out Marc-Andre Fleury.
Billy sat him down though immediately. He's like, you will get yanked so fucking fast if you just start going for full ice goals.
No way, dude. Fuck that. Because you know what? Again, I tweeted out the video. I was crying laughing when they were getting absolutely pumped by the Coyotes. I looked away for 2 seconds, looked back at the screen again. He is in a board battle. I was like, what the fuck are you doing over there? I love that guy. He's the best. And he's like falling over, catching himself because he's losing his balance as he is just mucking it up in the corner with like 9 other skaters. And I was like, this guy fucking rocks, dude.
He does. He is the best kind of person. And of course, Cosgrove, completely agree. Mid-play, rubbing the crossbar was LOL funny. It's funny. I saw a couple of people that are like, "Oh, wait, why is he like rubbing the crossbar?" It's like, have you ever watched him play ever?
Yeah.
Like, I think
It's
4
like,
times a game he thanks his posts for the support. I don't know.
Big fan of it. And without fail, at some point in the game, no matter when he did say thank you and rub the crossbar of the post, I just love what it's like. Go to commercial break, but the replay they choose to show is him being like just petting the fucking crossbar
Just
like a goddamn, like a fucking golden retriever. Yeah, attaboy. It's phenomenal.
No, I mean the gif that I will hold on to forever is when he was back in Pittsburgh and he's doing the like stroking his knob on his paddle. It's great.
And hey, was it the Islanders game? He was getting in the mix, dude. He jumped out there, joined a scrum. I think who was he going after? Someone like bumped into him or something, and he was just right in the middle, just mucking it up. So that guy, you can't accuse him of not giving a fuck or giving up. So good for him. But again, what an achievement. That's a lot of fucking hockey games. That's a lot of time putting on fucking goalie equipment and getting this year getting pumped.
Well, especially in like the current NHL where you just don't play as many games naturally. Now he has fortunately played on a lot of good teams to get him here, but like still to have the longevity to be able to stay healthy and be serviceable enough to be a starter or be a 1B, it's nuts. Do you think that there is a chicken's dick shot at him flirting with Brodeur's number, or is that just impossible?
No, that's going to be too. I mean, what's he still got? How many wins is he behind now? Like
100.
Yeah, there's no. I mean,
he'd have to play at least 3 more seasons, and that's if everything goes awesome for him. That's probably 4 or 5.
On the 2022-23 Boston Bruins, like just winning every fucking game on planet Earth. Like Ullmark won 40 fucking games.
Hang on, dude. They're doing the 3 goalie system for like a handful of teams now. Can you imagine Ullmark, Swayman, and Fleury? Like, sure, it'd be like awkward because they all want to play, but like, can you imagine a better time than those 3 just hanging out?
Dude, like, what would the goalie hug turn it, the post-win hug turn it? They'd have to like think of something new. That'd be out of control, but that'd be. And of course, by the way, like, shout out The Athletic for just not letting us enjoy this moment for more than 10 minutes. Immediately, I think it was the next morning, Pierre LeBrun puts up a fucking article. Marc-Andre Fleury trade talk could pick up if the Wild don't pick it up. I was like, God damn it, let us have like 24 hours of happiness.
I get it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Something to talk about. I also, like, for everyone's understanding, I don't think he wants to go anywhere. Like, I don't think he wants to be on the road and leave his wife and kids back here. Like, sure, if there's a team that's bolstered and ready to make a cup run, maybe they can talk him into it. But this isn't something that he's seeking out or the Wild. And I don't think Billy's going to ask him to unless it's something that Fleury says he'd be interested in. So I'd put it pretty low probability that happens. Although I'd still say it's a higher probability than Eck being traded to Vancouver. So there's that.
That I can't believe people fucking bid on that. Was legitimately insane.
Yeah, like honestly, good for that guy. Like whatever. Yeah, if you got that many people to fucking bite. Sorry, that's not even him being an asshole at that point. It's like you guys are all
No, that's to be honest, that's just like the fragility of this fucking fan base this season specifically. I mean, always, but like this year in particular is it just kind of emphasizes the emotional toll this year's taken on everybody. But like you said, this, you look at Fleury too, like, I mean, at this point, he's now won everything you can win, which another thing, by the way, he wins his first Vezina trophy, 34, 35 fucking years old a couple of years ago. That's legitimately insane to me. It's kind of like Giordano winning his first fucking Norris at 37.
You know what, though? Like, it makes sense, though. Like, no point. Again, I guess I view this from a different lens, and you'd think most Penguins fans would, like, worship him and stroke him off, whereas I, like, am very much a realist that there were some brutal times in Pittsburgh. He was good. He was never in the discussion for even like top 3. Like he was never in a spot where he should have even been nominated for the Vezina. When he went to Vegas and very much put the team on his back for stretches of that like early go with them, that makes sense. Like, he actually had the workload. It's kind of like how Crosby and Malkin hardly ever get consideration for the Hart and stuff like that because, oh, look at the team.
Crosby barely gets a sniff at the Selke. Yeah.
Crosby will never end up on NHL cover either, which is wild to think about.
Fucking crazy, dude.
I don't understand. Like, either he refused or that is just some of the worst marketing the league has ever partaken in, but whatever. But
I could see both, to be honest. Like,
let's just like speculate though. What would be fun if you had to pick a landing spot for Marc-Andre Fleury? Like, where would you put him if he got traded?
Oh God.
Like, there's some good answers. While you think on that, everyone, reminder, this free agency hazy IPA from Loose Line, it's like I'm drinking no pulp orange juice. It is just so fucking good. That sounds like you had an answer, huh?
If this wasn't a Minnesota Wild related podcast, I'd probably say like Colorado. Yeah. Colorado is an easy one. So we can go now that they're back to like winning games again and like definitely going to make the playoffs, Edmonton Oilers. But that would also be like quite the risk. Quite the risk. You better hope that it fucking works.
See, I think the one that everyone's gonna yeah. I think the one that everyone's gonna be on top of is Toronto.
Well, I can't fucking even. That would be
how does
I think he would rather
getting the second all-time wins record affect the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. No one else has ever thought about anything like that for sure. God, it makes me sick to even think about. I fucking hate that team. Great to see them blow a 2-0 lead in Edmonton last night. Always a big fan of that. And again, the fucking Oilers are kicking again. They are terrifyingly good again. And shout out fucking Evander Kane's ex-wife for getting removed by security in Detroit.
Well, and dude, Evander Kane just being a donkey too. Like, he's already bitching about playing time. Like, supposedly he went in and like flat out called out the coach and said, we need to talk. Takes him out into the hallway, and all of a sudden you find out, oh, Evander just basically reamed him and said, he's the only one that fights for this team. He needs more ice time. He's one of the best players, whatever. And like, Knobloch basically was like, okay, so are we good now? Like, can we go back and play? Like,
this means nothing to me. This means nothing. This doesn't affect me whatsoever.
Dude, supposedly, I don't know. So I hear, I don't know if this is true, but apparently there was a ref listening to all this happen in the hallway because it was like right by the ref's office. He got a penalty 1 minute in, which I think was a valid penalty, but the ref literally goes over to him. He's like, don't disrespect your coach like that ever again, you piece of shit. Like, something like that. It's just like, God damn, I love it.
That's the hot mic we need. That's the hot mic we need.
Oh, he'd be worshipped. Like, everyone hates Tim Peel. That ref would be worshipped.
Yeah. Man, if only Tim Peel got caught in a hot mic doing that instead of the other horse shit, they would have put him in the Hall of Fame the next day, probably. God, Evander Kane's such a fucking loser. Let me pull this up here. God, that guy sucks.
You know a guy's a loser when, like, most hockey fans, doesn't matter what your fan base is, are obsessed with his wife because of how much she hates him and how much she goes after him. When she made a donation to the Ryan Hartman Fund, oh my God, people lost their minds.
Beautiful stuff. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. I can't believe the fucking security room. That is so funny that she was removed from the game. That is just unbelievable. Anyways, we gotta move on.
Make the rounds real quick. We got a lot of people tuning in. Integrity, welcome back, buddy. Mike Owen, sup. Jason Bryant, also sup. Gun-toting Granny, who is just a consistent hitter here. Love to have you back. Think that's it for people saying hi, but we got a lot of other comments and questions, and I've fallen behind on. Real quick though on that, Z, before we get into the prospects, really, like, we joked, but what are the Wild? Like, is this a team that has a realistic chance to like find that last wild card spot? Is it a team that if things go back to being bad, like can they even sniff a top 5 draft pick because of how bad some other teams are? Like where do you see the more likely path? Bottoming out or making the wild card?
Oh, I mean, I think unfortunately the most realistic scenario is fighting to make a playoff spot and just missing. And
That's
then ending up in the same, a very familiar, very comfortable spot for all of us, you know, like we're like, yeah, I've seen this movie before. Very familiar. There's my seat right there. Yeah, no, I've been here. Because I mean, I'm trying to pull it up now. What's the fucking, what is the wild card situation at this point? Let's see. Yeah, they're 8 points out right now. The game in hand on Nashville. The 2 teams in front of them played 1 fewer game. They're 3 and 4 points back from there. I mean, the one thing is they have had not a great schedule, and it seems like in theory guys are getting healthy again. Like I'm still not a believer in the Nashville Predators. I'm not. I think like there's a little bit there. They're probably like in somewhat of a similar position, to be honest with you. Like I think they're a little bit similar.
Would you agree?
I'm at the point now where I have no idea what Seattle is. I could not tell you.
I don't either. They are the most confusing one to me. But to me, I think I look at it and it's Nashville, Arizona, and Seattle are like the 3 that are most likely to be jousting for that last spot.
Yeah.
I think everything else in the West is set. The top 7 are locked in. Order will change. But that last spot, those are the 3 teams. And the Wild got to basically count on all 3 of them going through a rough stretch. Otherwise, there's really not a chance to get in.
Yeah. And again, like, and that's why I just like mapping out so right now, by the way, Edmonton has the same. So they're the first wild card spot. They've played, they have the same number of points as Nashville with 4 fewer games. So, I mean, that they're it. Like that is done. Like they're going to secure that spot. They're probably they're only actually 1 point back from LA, which is crazy to me. LA took a bit of
slumping a bit. Dude, did you hear?
They only won in their last 10.
Did you hear about Sean Dursey?
No.
He apparently went on some podcast and it started as like a joke about like, oh yeah, do you give the forwards crap or whatever? And it turns out that like he flat out, after several rebuttals of them being like, wait, is this still the bid or is this real? He's like, no, we actually go out and do like I don't know if it's monthly or what it was, but like we'll just call it a monthly defense and goaltender dinner and literally just shit on how bad our forwards are. And it just feels like such a weird thing to say. Why would you share that?
No, God, he's gonna get traded to Ottawa now, and there's gonna be another Uber video.
So hard,
unbelievable.
But I don't know. I just can't imagine doing that. It's pretty interesting.
It's a bold move. And
I only heard the clip on the Jeff Merrick show, so like I don't know if there was further context after, but they literally were like, he's like, oh yeah, we go out and do this dinner and we just carve the forwards, and he's like, wait, like, is this still the bit that we were talking about? It's like, well, no, like we actually do this. Like what?
No, that's what we do. This is it. Yeah, that's real.
Normal, right? It's a normal thing. Here's an interesting one we got to throw up from Sean Cosgrove that makes a ton of sense actually. If Fleury is going to retire this year, he might go to New Jersey or something, which I think New Jersey makes a ton of sense, just being that literally their biggest problem is goaltending. If he still wants to play somewhere after this year, I imagine he chills here for the rest of the season, makes a decision from there. Seems reasonable, but New Jersey could actually be really fun.
Yeah, that could be I look at that scenario too. I mean, New Jersey's kind of fucked. Just looking at their like place in the standings. The thing with that one, I think stepping back from like the fun hockey side of it is that I can't imagine he'd want to go back out east again. Especially right in the middle of the year. He was pretty vocal about how like that sucked initially. Like he did not like moving like in the middle of the season. Obviously it was nice for him, I'm sure, to get out of that fucking cesspool in Chicago that year and the following years. But again, I think he's been pretty vocal about like, no, I am just looking to stay in one place at this point. So it will be interesting just to see if he is interested in chasing another playoff push, anything like that, or if he's just like, I've literally won everything I can win. I'm good here. But he is just like a competitive fucking bastard, so you never know. But in terms of like the fun hockey side, yeah, that is fun. So I like that. I like that one. But yeah, I'm just looking at the standings in the West, and like it is primed for this fucking like push to make the fucking last wild card spot, and either somehow get it done and then get your fucking ass whooped in the first
caved
round.
in, yeah,
slaughtered.
You know who it would end up being, right?
Is it Vancouver or no Winnipeg?
No, it would have to be Winnipeg. Like that's the only way it makes sense.
Yeah, no,
I mean, Dallas would kind of work too.
Oh God, 2018 Part 2. Jesus Christ.
Not great. Oh yeah. What Chaos Pod is that? The one that Blackburn does?
Yeah, it's a funny one.
Yeah, that's the one that Dursey was on.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes fuck.
That makes a little bit more sense, but still, like I'm telling you, I don't have the exact words, but when I listened to it, they rebutted like twice with them. They're like, we can't tell if you're serious or not. He's like, oh no, I'm dead serious. Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's all right.
Oh man. But I don't know. Anything else you want to touch on from the NHL lens before we do a thorough prospect rundown?
Last thing, nice to have Jonas Brodin back in the lineup. So nice.
Solid.
So nice to have him back in the lineup.
Not great for the cap, but otherwise great.
Who fucking cares? Don't worry about it, because Fleury is going to make that donation, or Pat McAfee is going to make that donation. Just a little bit of cap relief. Thank you, Pat McAfee. Shout out Pat McAfee.
Well, and if he waits to make that donation until like the day before the trade deadline, doesn't that like equate out to being like probably $1.5 million that they'd actually accumulate? There you go. Prorate it,
Prorate it.
Math, power, pi.
What a fucking stupid system the NHL has. God damn it.
I
love that.
You discourage fans from paying attention to it because they can't even fucking understand it.
Well, if you want to go the CBA, it is public. You can go download the fucking 185 page document if you'd like. I did that one time and I made it through like a page. I was like, this is insane. I mean,
like your internet would only download like 5 pages of that.
It was in my last place, so it was pretty good in there. So
flush with internet. Got it.
We can probably wrap that there. But the one thing that you put on our what's it called?
Oh yeah, we should probably touch on that, huh? Wild fans
Bally Sports saved.
Not saved, fixed.
Yeah, no, nothing can save them.
No one wants to save Bally. They'd rather take it out back, Old Yeller. But I think the premise that it would be on Amazon Prime rather than having to use that godforsaken Bally Sports app, fans for the first time in a long time are freaking out in a positive way. You gotta love it for them.
This is how we heal a nation, like it was, it's just good to see people coming together and rejoicing over something in the Minnesota Wild fucking social media world. So they're coming in, and I mean, like, well, anything is going to be better than the prior, I guess the current, but when is that actually happening? Like, how long do we have to put up with Bally?
See, that's the real thing. I don't know firm timelines. Like, I read the article and there weren't any real dates mentioned. It just said that Amazon is taking like a minority stake in Diamond Sports and completely taking over Bally Sports, and will have everything on Amazon Prime, but I don't know when. And I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm excited, just like everyone else. I'll believe it when it actually happens and works, because I don't know. We've seen this movie too many times. It's not going to work.
All right, Bezos, it's time. Bazy. That's a tough one to fucking dumb down.
Bezos.
Bazies. God, that is fucking brutal. All right. Well, that'll be good for everybody involved. Holy fuck. I didn't know Edmonton's 10-0-0 in their last 10. That's good. Good for them.
I think they've got 11 straight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's like a franchise record, which is insane to me.
After the start. Yeah. Bizarre.
Yeah.
Crazy what happens when you're healthy. Weird.
Can't relate. Not sure what that's like.
Cannot even remotely relate.
Well played, Mike Owen. Laser, Blazer, Michelle.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. This is supposed to be, in theory, 33 minutes later, a prospect show. So we're going to jump right into the prospect roundup. That sound good?
That sounds beautiful.
And everyone who has tuned into this show since day one knows we start in the CHL and the OHL. And
wait,
this
CHL
year
and the OHL? Both?
Yeah, CHL. So then we go to the CHL and you start in the CHL with the OHL. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, both. Nice.
And as we tend to, we start with Mr. Hunter Haight of the Saginaw Spirit. Before we dive into the specific this past week and how he's done, those performances, mentioned it at the start here, Saginaw Spirit, they are hosting the Mem Cup this year. And as every host team tends to do, absolutely loaded the fuck up at the OHL deadline. Shipped out about 74 picks approximately, which means like they've got future players who are like 9 years old right now. They're just throwing them out. We don't need those guys. Those guys can't help us now.
Is there a cutoff, by the way? Like, can they trade as far in the advance as they want, or is there a cutoff?
I would love to know how they define futures. You know what I mean?
I gotta know. Because, like, can you imagine? Like, imagine being the pick that got traded before you were even born. Like, oh, my rights got sent over to London, and yeah, I didn't even exist yet. So that's kind of cool.
I hadn't even picked hockey yet. I had not even, didn't know I was gonna be here.
It's great.
Pleasure to be here. But I mean, they seriously loaded up. So the big headliner was bringing in Owen Beck, Montreal Canadiens prospect. He's been phenomenal since he stepped into the OHL a couple seasons ago. He's probably one of, maybe not steal, but considering where he ended up being drafted by Montreal, I would consider it like teetering on the edge of steal. But he has been phenomenal in the OHL. His 3 games with Saginaw so far. Let me pull it up again here. He's caught 3 goals, 6 assists, and 9 points. I think he's been first star of the game all 3 games. And they also bring in Jordan Donovan, Senators prospect. I think they moved out 8 picks to bring him in. By the way, the Owen Beck trade it's hard to fucking read. Let me try this again. There's too many picks to figure out to fucking read it. Couple firsts, couple seconds, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. We're just like, it's fucking. How do they have that many?
Hang on, from whoever Z, how wild would this be? I want a kid to be traded, and one of the picks is his future child. Would be nuts. I'm all for that.
That's part of the condition of.
Can you imagine? So Savoy just got traded, and one of the picks included is somehow his unborn son.
It's a conditional 3rd round pick. If you have a kid who ends up playing in the OHL, he becomes a 1st round pick, and that player gets sent off. Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible stuff. But anyways, like I said, they brought in.
Why wouldn't you trade for the rights to all Tkachuk offspring at this point?
Yeah, I mean, one of them, maybe 2, will end up in jail. Probably.
If you're Leopold, do you go to Guerin and say, I know that you're not going to live long enough to reap the benefits, but I need you to trade Kaprizov for all future Tkachuks, period. We have rights to all of them.
we need to acquire futures of the futures. Okay. Every future considerations, their futures. That's what we're going to invest in. We're investing in the youth here. And that's how we heal a nation.
Imagine if Big Walt went to like a sperm bank or something. They could sell that shit for like
Mr. Hughes
too. But I think
what do you mean?
Chuck, I think it's different because it's generations.
Yeah, that's true.
You know
well, Hughes, but his mother was
he wasn't good Chuck.
Yeah, fair enough.
But either way, yes.
Right, moving on.
The answer is yes.
Moving on. Getting back into this before everyone just tunes out, which is, I mean, I get it, you know, if you want to do that. Like I said, Owen Beck in, Jordan Donovan in. The big one that one of my favorite fucking prospects, Anaheim Ducks defenseman, Rodwin Dionizio. He is just another just absolute human highlight reel. Like, he plays, and again, the fact that he's playing on the same team as a kid like Zane Parekh, like, they could both score 30 goals a year on the blue line if they wanted to. Like, they're that electric. So they bring in a former captain of theirs, Josh Bloom. Plus, you already have the core there of Michael Misa, top 2025. Like I already mentioned, Zane Parekh, Joey Willis, who was drafted this past year, a real good fucking player. That kid is an absolute sniper. Mangione and Ethan Hay, so they've already got the solid core. But again, they bring in like literally the best additions they possibly could have. So not surprising considering they're the team hosting the Mem Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of like just the overall chemistry just like gels, because every single one of those guys wants the puck. The thing with Owen Beck is he just loves to dish. So there you go. But Hunter Haight, back to him, because that's what this is about. 2 games only played Friday, Saturday. 6-1 loss at London. 1 assist, didn't have a minus, so he had his guy. 6-12 the face-off dot. London right now is kicking the ever-living dog shit out of everybody. They absolutely obliterated Saginaw 6-1 on Friday. Then they made their way over to Owen Sound on Sunday and won 10-0. So they're just like on an absolute heater. Sure. But hey, no minuses for Hunter Haight, so he had his guy. But on Saturday, 5-2 win against Guelph, 1 goal, 3 shots on net. He's now for sure like playing wing at this point, especially with the addition of Owen Beck. So I would expect his goal total to probably start hiking up even more so than it already was. But again, he just looked like he is just like a fun player to watch. Like, every time he touches the puck, he's creating chances, or now at this point with the additions they bring in, he is finding himself in grade A scoring positions. So like he's hanging out in like Ovi's office, right at the fucking circular. That's how he scored on Saturday, an absolute missile on the power play. I think I mentioned this the last few times we talked about him. I would just like to see a little bit more consistency. And less, I think there are just so many games now where he's been a little bit too passive, like kind of waiting for the play to come to him. Like when he's at his best, he has the puck, he's dictating play, he's the one creating like passing lanes, scoring lanes for himself and his teammates. So again, that's why it's going to be even more interesting just to see how the whole team really does gel with these additions. But I think was the first game Owen Beck was there for. I think he may have been on his wing too, but he does play a lot with Michael Misa, which is so fun to watch. So I think obviously Saginaw is now for sure just a team to watch for just like the fun factor. But I'm very curious just to see how the lines end up shaking out, because they've been experimenting too. So he's played with a bunch of different line mates the last few games since the deadline. So, but overall, didn't like dominate, but he looked fine. And obviously 2 points in 2 games is good. So that brings him up to 39 OHL games this season, 18 goals, 30 assists, 48 points. Pretty good. -1, a lot of his damage does come on the power play, which you could say that about a whole lot of the Saginaw Spirit anyways. So that's not crazy. Sure. 20 penalty minutes. What a goon. Put up 119 shots on net. That's the other thing too. When he's at his best, he is feeling it and he is just rifling the puck. And he does have a phenomenal shot. He can shoot off both feet. He's got a good one-timer. Like that he can shoot in motion too. So sometimes he's coming off the rush, which he's very good in transition and off the rush. He'll do one of those no look, fake pass shot, bar Mexico, keep it change. But I will definitely be having my eye on Saginaw the next week or so, just to kind of watch how this team gels now with all these additions.
Fair. Now I gotta pause real quick. This is the only interruption I think for the prospect roundup. But you talked about OV's office. I posted on X recently about this, but when Crosby passed yet another poor soul with more points, he's probably going to end up pretty close to top 5. How insane is it? Like, what would you have said 5 years ago if I told you that in the year of our Lord and Savior 2024, Sidney Crosby would be pacing for 50 goals and Ovechkin would be pacing under 20? What on earth?
It's even crazier though, because Washington started surging too, where they started playing really well, and he still was not scoring goals. It's like, oh fuck. Like at some point we knew there would be a fall off. I'm not saying this is the start of like the official fall off, but we quite literally have never seen this since he stepped into the league. Like literally entered the league, scored 50 fucking goals, and just kept doing that. Like his lowest was like what, 32, which is just like a joke. But it's just crazy to see, like, even now that they've like rebounded from the most horrific start they could have possibly imagined, they are still a brutal watch. By the way, I fucking hate watching the Washington Capitals. I can't do it. They are brutal.
It's not the best.
I don't enjoy it. It's not a good time. But he's still not like ripping it up and like scoring 2-3 goals a game. Like we've seen like in years past, either a slow start or just like bunches of games where he doesn't look the same. It doesn't look as dangerous, but at no point has he like just caught fire this year. So it's weird. So it's crazy.
I mean, do you know what the solution is? And granted, it probably couldn't happen because I'm correct, right? You can't like actually send money in transactions anymore, like the good old days. Like there's no workaround for that. Because the only way that it would even be considered is if there were cash considerations because of all the money that he's going to make the Capitals. But Capitals fans will freak out. The answer is trade him to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
it is. Not only is it a great story, but like, you think there's anyone better than, oh, wait, Crosby or Malkin, take your pick, to play on a line with him and just fucking feed him to hit that record? It's good for the game. If the Capitals care at all about the great game of hockey, they will do this, but they would also be morons to do it because they're going to make so much money on people buying tickets just to watch him chase the record. So I get it.
They would have to move the franchise at that point. They would be an absolute revolt and they would have to move. They would have to, they would fold. God, I do enjoy the old clips of like Malkin and Ovechkin just going at it. It just
the best
like
one, the best one,
each other on the ice.
Where it was probably my favorite clip for a good like 2 years was Ovi getting pissed off and coming down and trying to run Malkin behind the net, and Ovi just fucking eats it. Like Malkin just stands him up. He like reverse tabletops and goes under him and just right into the boards. So great.
I fucking love Malkin. I've said this so many times.
Is the fucking man.
There's definitely less than 10 players in this generation of hockey, like since we've started watching, that when on and at their prime, there's fewer than 10 players I would take if I needed one player in the playoffs than Evgeny Malkin. That some of his runs,
especially in the playoffs, cup, dude. Yeah,
holy, he is an absolute. He's one of the greatest hockey players of all time. He
is, but it's really interesting because like Penguins are spoiled. I'll be the first to admit it. Like I'm not going to pretend, but Crosby is the Gretzky mold, and Malkin is absolutely the Lemieux mold. Not just in size and stature, but like he is literally the one-man wrecking crew. Him and Lemieux are the ones that are literally, give me the puck, let me just fucking go. That's it. Whereas
as Sean Cosgrove said, not even a top 100 player according to oh god.
I'll bring that up all the time. He's Mr. 101. And I think I said this when the new list came out of the current top 100, not the original list where it's like best 100 of all time, which he got snubbed by so many fucking players. But then there's the new one this year, best current 100. There's no way that there are 100 players out there you would pick over Malkin. But if they made a list of top 100 snubs for awards, he would not make the top 100.
No, because he's
from that one too.
That's unreal. It's just a fact. Moving on.
Shout out though, Loose Line second beer. Definitely not as much my style, but I do like it for what it is. West Coast IPA, which Isha would do bad things if he had this beer. Similar to what happens during the entire World Junior Tournament, basically. But we have Snowdrift, another very clean and beautiful can for Z.
That is nice. That's
West Coast stuff. IPA, a little bit lower in the ABV, a little bit more of a clear vibe. But again, I generally am not a big West Coast IPA fan. This one I would absolutely drink again, but no way in hell I'm picking it over the free agency. That one was a banger. Loved it.
Love that. Big fan of that.
Just go to Loose Line Brewing. They've got all of the diversity from beer. It's great.
There you go.
Plymouth.
Love that.
Hit it. All right, moving on. Who do we got next? We've gotten through one
normally
prospect. Go.
Well, we can speed through this one. Next one, Servac Petrovsky, who we will be skipping over. He has been scratched last few games, not for performance related anything. He got sick.
Thought you were going to say he was doing drugs.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna. Okay, I almost went down a bad path there. I think he played like 1, maybe 2 games after the World Junior, and he had like 2 assists. I think it was just 1, but he did. I think he was like second star of the game that game, 2 assists. But he did get sick recently, so they've been resting him. Thank God he wasn't playing against London on Sunday, because again, they got the ever living dog shit kicked out of them by London, and I mean it was incredible. Like I don't think they touched the puck. So there you go. He wasn't a dash anything, so he had his guy once again. So we can just move on from him. He's got 29 games. Stat line's real nice. 10 goals, 20 assists, 30 points, dash 4, 105 shots on net. Only 8 PIMs, so we need him to wrap those up, dude. Just not going to cut it here for grit first. So moving on. Rasmus Kumpalainen, one of my favorite players to watch, just because he might be at any given time, I've said this before, the most skilled player on the ice, and you cannot take the puck from him, despite the fact that his legs basically don't move. He does not move at a quick pace, but you absolutely cannot take the puck from him, despite his slow speed. He's one of the best transition forwards in the entire CHL. Like his transition data is legitimately comical. Like he's in like the 98th percentile just in terms of successful carries and like transition play.
On a scale of John Merrill to Jaromir Jagr, how difficult is it to get the puck from Rasmus Kumpalainen?
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards the Jagr part, because Merrill is just like, do you want it? Here you go.
That's my 1 to 10.
Yeah, that's a crazy. There's an absolute fucking black hole in between those two. Like John Merrill is just like, here, what do you think about? I'll share the puck if you want. I don't even like this thing. I don't want it at all. By the way, take it, and I'll just trip you off after. I'm gonna make my way over to the box. But Rasmus Kumpalainen, he's picking up right where he left off before the World Juniors. 3 games this week. Let's see, they went 3-0. He had 3 points, which just maintains his perfect stat line. 30 games, 15 goals, 15 assists for 30 points, plus 3, 87 shots on net. That doesn't look right, though. I think he has more than 87 shots on net. The fucking like CHL scoring, like their website is insane. They also, when you look at like their stat lines, they'll give you how many faceoffs they've won, but not total. Like doesn't give you the percentage.
But you don't know if it's out of 8 or out of 20.
It drives me insane. So when I actually sit down and put my docs like Google, I have to like go and do it. It drives me insane. I wasn't going to do that today, but
nice.
They played on Sunday. They had an 8-2 shit kicking of Kingston. I think there were close to 230 penalty minutes. Every time, if I looked away for 2 seconds, there was another scrum and another fight going on. I think there was like 7 fights. Like every stoppage, there was a massive scrum. He didn't find himself in too many of those. He was too busy absolutely dishing. Despite that, in an 8-2 win, still only had 1 assist, and he was -1. Did not have his guy. But like, it wasn't even like a fucking hockey game. Like, they scored 3 goals in the first like 6 or 7 minutes, and from there it was just a complete mutant fest. But again, in terms of just like raw production and how he looks with the puck on his stick, we talked about it during the World Juniors. Really picked it up as the tournament went on. Obviously scored in their last 2 games after being held off the score sheet and eventually relegated as like the 13th forward for Finland. It was good to see him eventually get back on the score sheet there. And again,
that's why they didn't medal.
Yeah, there you go. And he carried that momentum right back into the OHL. Again, I like every time we talk about him, he is a fascinating player. Like,
it's interesting though, like I know that you watched him and knew who he was, but he never came up once last season in the pre-draft prep. And then when they took him, you're like, huh, I actually kind of like this. And I'm just like, I don't know who the fuck this is. But
again, it's just like,
I love it.
He's an enigma. He's huge. He is not quick, but again, in transition, he has a near 100% like completion rate, like success rate in terms of just like carrying the puck through the neutral zone into the offensive zone, like establishing possession, creating scoring chances. Like, you can't get the puck off of him. So it doesn't even matter when like he's not moving very quickly. And like the thing with him too is like if you have like an extended offensive zone possession, he is like a god because he will keep it. You can fucking have like a 4-man change as he is just shielding every skater.
A straight up Yager puck protect. I love it.
It's incredible. So like he's just so fun to watch. And my God, he is unbelievably skilled. But I would still like to see a little bit more production again. I think he at times looks to facilitate a little bit too much. And then in terms of just like shooting, he relies on this really weird, like even on like the power play, he'll pick the puck up along the half wall, skating towards his own net, turn around the blue line and like a hopeful shot on net. So like he relies on that a little bit too often. And like he did that a whole lot playing junior in Finland. So like he definitely got like docked points in terms of just like his draft stock, just because like the hockey IQ, they weren't really sure if it was there or not. But like you look at a player like him, how good he is despite like the lack of foot speed. He's phenomenal two-way. Like he defends very well. He is responsible. He does have like insane skill and just the size and willingness to use the size and knowing how to use it. He's just like all the tools in the world. So I think, again, I've said this before, like I think he's going to be a very good NHL player because he is so coachable. And I think there's a whole lot that you can hone in on just in terms of like the tools that he has. So very fun player to watch. We'll see what happens. They didn't make too many additions at the deadline. They're kind of like right in the weird. They'll like be a playoff team.
See what happens
there, pretty much. But they've got some players there that are fun to watch too. So like Beckett Seneke, one of the kids for 2024, he's going to go probably high second round, maybe sneak into the first. He's a big player, tons of tools, mean as shit, scores at a high rate. So he's going to be a player that a lot of teams have their eyes on. So we'll see as the year goes on. I would just like to see the production and decision making kind of take a step. But yeah, decent week. I mean, you can't complain. 3 games this week, 3 points, 3-0. Move on. There you go. That does it for the OHL. We're gonna make our way to the
inferior WHL. Yeah, inferior.
Yeah, the inferior.
Vastly inferior.
And we will start with Riley Heidt.
Not inferior.
On a slump. He's in a slump right now. 2 games, only had 1 assist. So I mean, so you know, the downfall starts here. You know, there's only
trade him now.
Can't be much better. Yeah, trade him now. For
I would get McBain back.
Yeah, there you go. But let me just pull this up again right here. Before I even dive into like the performances, he played 2 games this week, again, 1 assist in those games. There was an article today on EP Ringside for anyone that may be a subscriber there. Phenomenal if you're in the prospect talk. They're just a very good subscription, obviously. They put up, let's see, who was it? Oh yeah, Victor Nuno, who is his expertise is futures for fantasy hockey, which is a whole other realm of prospect analysis that I can't even begin to like try to get that figured out. Like, that is just dedication. I mean, that is unbelievable. But the headline was Prospect Perspective. Jesus, come on, man. Help us out. How Riley...
That's got to be the segment name now. Prospect Perspective. Just to hear you say it every week. Done.
That's
locked in.
Yeah,
Continue now with Prospect Perspective.
That's mine now. Thank you. But Prospect Perspective, how Riley Heidt continues to produce without much fanfare. Speak for your fucking self. All right. Like, holy fuck. Not me. Not every single person who follows
Hockey Canada.
Yeah, again, they probably could have used a guy like Riley Heidt at that fucking tournament, but what do we know? But let's see, they played Kelowna this weekend. Wasn't his best couple of performances. Not worried, obviously. 4 shots on net in their first game, 5-2 win. Wasn't great at face-off dot. Game 2, they lose 3-2 in a shootout. Puts up an assist, went 14 for 24 at the dot. So 40 games this year, 22 goals, 50 assists, 72 points, plus 17, 26 penalty minutes, 122 shots on net. So he's third in WHL scoring in terms of points. He's also third in assists. Zach Funk, his teammate, first in goals. All they do is score. Like, the fact that they scored 7 goals in 2 games, it's like, oh, are they okay? All they do is produce. But God, that team is so fun. Like, they have so many guys in their entire top 6. It's just 6 absolute offensive weapons. So just an absolute nightmare for teams trying to just keep the puck out of the net. But again, he is unbelievably smart. Like, any time that they have the puck, he is either creating for everyone else, creating passing lanes, creating shooting lanes, or he himself is finding quiet areas of the ice, and he's like, every scoring chance he gets, it's like it's gonna end up in the net, just where he finds himself on the ice. Like, he is unbelievable, and I still cannot believe that he ended up being drafted where he was drafted. Like we said it before, if you just literally switched the Minnesota Wild's picks the first 2 rounds, it would have made more sense, probably.
Dude, people have gotten big mad at me too. Like, people have been bitching like, oh man, if the Wild had only taken Gabe Perreault. And I just always reply like, yeah, like Riley Heidt makes me not care as much. And everyone's like, yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, they could have had both. I'm like, right, but that's not my stance. My stance is it makes me care less. Not that, oh, I like this move because they took Heidt. Like, I just don't care because we got a first round talent. So whatever. You swing and miss sometimes. And guess what? Charlie Stramel might not be a miss. Like, he's looked a lot better in the past month or 2. And is it tough seeing the numbers that Gabe Perreault's putting up and seeing what he did at World Junior, whatever? Sure. But there's still a lot of runway and development for these guys. And let's be real, there was a level to which this was an organizational need to have something down the middle, which Gabe Perreault is not.
Right. And I mean, everyone's least favorite thing to hear after a draft is like, is the upside between Perreault and Stramel. And we'll get to Stramel, hopefully, within, before next week, we'll get to him.
Maybe.
But, do they have the same ceiling? No, not remotely close. But you want to talk about floor. Like, to me, Stramel is a no doubt NHL center at some point. How high is the floor? I don't know. I struggle to see like a top 6 center, but he has in the past shown that upside too. He is like incredibly skilled. He's I feel like I say this every time too. Like, it's hard to he's very smart. It's like, well, at times he's not, because he will like murder somebody on the ice on purpose, right in front of the ref too. But in terms of just like, again, another thing, creating lanes, like generally with the puck, making right decisions, where he finds himself on the ice most often. Like, he is a very intelligent hockey player. It's just that sometimes he has a very short wick and he will decide to just bury people. But the floors are not comparable either. So again, we'll get to him eventually here, but
no, totally. And
like you said, his last week
are assholes.
But last couple things on Riley Heidt. My favorite way or like the most accurate way to describe it is like the class, just a triple threat. Like he's going to beat you somehow because he is like by far his best asset, and it reflects in his like stat line is his passing. Like the smallest passing lane, he is going to find you tape to tape. Like doesn't need to look. But like the shot's also a weapon, obviously. But like I think it was actually maybe even the same guy, the funniest, or not funniest, but like one of the more apt comparisons, like, hey, like his not ceiling, not floor, but like a decently accurate prediction. If he doesn't like completely hit, but doesn't completely miss, he's like an angry Nick Schmaltz, which is like the funniest way I saw someone put it. I was like, that's actually really fucking funny. But there we go. Just pull this up again.
How do you land on that? Like, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just like, how do you even get there?
Well, again, so like you look at it, I think it was this guy. The whole thing with this headline is like continues to produce without much fanfare. Like Nick Schmaltz, like literally entered the league, immediately scored 20 goals in Chicago, and just like kept producing. And no, it's like, oh, he's pretty good, decent player there. So I guess that's where you land on it. But he does have a whole lot more bite. Like he can get, like he is not afraid of getting into those fucking absolute muck fests in front of the net. He also is a phenomenal forechecker. More often than not, he's going to go and he's going to win the puck. He's going to create possession, create scoring chances from there. So realistically, all this kid does is just produce offense and scoring chances. So sky's the limit with this kid. I am quite confident he will end up, whether it's center or wing, he's going to be a top 6 scoring forward in the league with two-way capability. So another great pick.
Handicap it. Like what odds would you give at each position? Are we talking 90-10? Are we talking 60-40?
I'd say 70-30. He kind of strikes me more in the NHL as a wing. Especially just like how when you look at the prospect pool right now, like what's going to be in more like that profile of center or that profile wing. I think they're probably leaning towards wing for him. Just because like, again, the scoring capability is insane. But like, again, like you look at the prospect pool too, is they have so many of these guys like, hey, they could be either or. They're Attaboy Cosgrove 50-50. Either he will or he won't. It's a good point. Can't argue with that logic, Cosgrove.
It is 50-50. And actually, Cole, thanks for the shout out on the hats. Even though Z doesn't have one, getyourwagalon.com, everybody. Big release that just happened on Wednesday. Incredible drop. Oh, look at that double hat. Holy shit.
Weirdly heavy.
Double bagging it. But getyourwagalon.com, promo code SP10 for 10% off. They had some bangers this week. They never have any bad releases, but this is one of my favorite ones they've done. So get over there fast. My favorite quarter zip that they've ever done, the Lone Wolf. It's like an Arctic camo that's got wolves hidden in it. They just made it into a hoodie. So everyone run, don't walk. I hope that it sells out before I have a chance to buy it, because my wife will look at me cross-eyed if I get a second version of that style. So locked in looks. Yeah, that was a good one too, Mateo. In.
So there we go. Wrapping that one up. Riley Heidt again. 3rd in points, 3rd in assists. He's having yet another phenomenal year, on pace to produce even more points he did last year. So it's a good sign. So last play of CHL, last play of WHL. Kalen Parker, Moose Jaw also made a big move at the deadline, bringing in Matthew Savoy, Buffalo Sabres prospect. He has like, I think 2 or 3 points in each one of his first few games with Moose Jaw. That trade was 2 firsts, 1 second, 1 third, 1 fourth, 1 sixth, and an 8th. So decent little haul there, and he is lighting it up. I think he's played 3 or 4 games. He's been first or the game twice. But Kalen Parker's played real well lately too. Only 1 game this week, had an assist +3. Scored in his assist, not goal. Produced. Let's see. Froze again. There we go.
While you wait for it, dude, how stupid is it that Savoy is yet another among what a litter of prospects the Buffalo Sabres have?
Yeah, it's a joke. It makes me sad.
And they're going to get another good pick this year, apparently. Like, why? Why is this happening?
It's just a breeding ground for future assets only, apparently.
Sorry, Joey. But yes.
One player I will be fascinated to see this deadline is a kid like Casey Middlestat.
Huh?
It's about to be RFA. But last year, career high in points. I think he's
been okay this year.
Points. Yeah, he's first or second in points this year too.
He's on pace to team, but yes.
I mean, last year he put up 60, I think, maybe 50 something points. This year he's on pace to even do better than that. So he's one player. He's in like he's in the weird like age bracket too, where like if they really want to just invest in like their young guys, like their young guys, might be able to do a pull up these days. Well, you never know. That picture will haunt him forever. But thank God he's now. But thank God he's producing.
Tell me there hasn't ever been a better example of fucking taking a player too early. Not in the draft. I mean, pulling him out of college. That kid could have absolutely used one more year of college development, then bring him out. And it just, I don't know, it felt really forced and it didn't work out well for him. Now I'm glad that the tables are turning a little bit and it seems like he's on the right path. But dude, one more year with the Gophers would have done him wonders. But
it was crazy, like, because I remember universally anyone that knew who he was or like was following like prospects or young players, whatever, were like, what? Why are you doing this? Why are you sending him to the AHL or NHL right now? Like, what? Because I remember he made his like NHL debut. It was like 18 months ago. He was playing in the Minnesota like high school state hockey like tournament. It's like, what are we doing here? But he is, like you said, now he looks time worked out for him eventually, obviously.
Fortunately, but how many guys do you see get like ruined by that forced early development?
Right, exactly. And that's how good he is. It clearly didn't completely derail him. So that's good. But let me just pull up. All right, so Caleb Parker again, 1 assist this week in the one game he played in. He also comes into tonight on a 5-game scoring streak. He's got points in 6 of his last 7. He's played with Matejchuk a ton now, and talk about a dynamic pair. Like Matejchuk gives you a little bit of everything, where Kalen Parker's a phenomenal skater. He could also walk the blue line, but doesn't like need to rely on that when you're playing with a kid like Matejchuk, but he also defends incredibly well, especially off the rush too. So Moose Jaw, they've been like close to the top of their division. Bringing in a kid like Savoy is obviously going to do wonders for them too. So that's another team to watch as we come closer to the Mem Cup here in the WHL playoffs. But Kalen Parker, he's probably playing 22, 23 minutes a night now. Again, quite often with Matejchuk, and they have the puck like pretty much the whole game. But I mean, we've talked about like the prospect pool on the back end for a long time. Kalen Parker's a little bit of like, gives you a little bit of everything where like the offensive ceilings there, like that's what everyone really like his number one asset is, just like the offensive ability, whether it's passing. He's got an absolute cannon of a shot, but he does defend incredibly well. And he just like is another kid in this prospect pool in the back end that is an unbelievably gifted skater. So another kid with a ton of tools. In terms of like young defenseman, he's got an advanced like defensive skill set. So he's just another fun player to watch. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle just because they draft him as an overager. The pool's so deep already. And he puts up decent numbers, but nothing that like is like jumping off the page. So I think he gets lost a little bit. Obviously, it's just like when people talk about the prospect pool, but very fun player to watch. Thank God again, he got out of Victoria when he did. And he's looked great for Moose Jaw, and watching him and Matejchuk play together is an absolute treat. So 38 games this year, 4 goals, 22 assists for 26 points. He's a +3 with 22 PIMs and 57 shots on net. And again, right now, I think he's probably playing the best hockey of his WHL career so far. And that does it for the CHL an hour later. All right.
Crushing it.
Next up, moving on to the NCAA, and we start with Charlie Stramo. We touched on him a little bit earlier. The points aren't there, obviously. And like I've talked about this too with a couple other, I think with Giraffe guy, it was Brant Brunsack Nygård, I talked about like the worst puck luck I've ever seen a hockey player have. Like Stramel, I think, has hit like 7 posts this year too. And again, the points aren't there, but he has played very well. And obviously Wisconsin's doing very well. So like when you come in as a high profile prospect, expected to score, obviously the first year did not go well. They're a completely different team this year. And he's kind of just had to like change his role to be like ultra defensive oriented center. Again, he defends very well. We're going to want to see the points take a jump here. But like I looked at his underlying numbers for like at 5v5, and I mean, when he's on the ice, like I think shots are like 85% in Wisconsin's favor. The expected goals are like 70 something percent. Like generally speaking, only good things happen for Wisconsin when he is on the ice. Doesn't change the fact that we really want to see a big time hike in like just production offensively, because like it's always great to have a guy like that in the NHL, like in your lineup that you can rely on as just a reliable center, good on the face-off dot. He's not even really playing that much center now at this point, though. It's always good that, like, for a playoff team, especially, like, having that reliable forward that you can give, like, those hard minutes to. At the same time, there are a ton of those guys in the NHL, too, right? So, like, as he progresses here, you're going to want to see a big-time jump in the numbers offensively. Hopefully, puck luck will help him out a little bit, just because it's been so brutal for him. But he did – it wasn't this past week. I think it was 2 weekends ago against Notre Dame. He did score the game winner, and it was a phenomenal knee drop one time from the slot. So he does have it in his bag. We just want to see it a little bit more. He's got to be fighting some fucking like just overall confidence. Like,
yeah.
Given the fact that like freshman year did not go well, gets cut from the World Juniors team. Sophomore year, the team's great. His production hasn't really jumped at all, but again, he's playing well. It's just,
but okay.
We'll see.
Counter argument. He's currently 19 years old. Coming back for his junior season, he will be in his 20s for the first time under Coach Hastings. Next year is his year. Yeah. Next year is the year that every Wild fan is like, oh wait, that's the guy we've been ripping on.
Yeah. Oh, Hastings like, are looking like, oh,
cool, but I'm okay with Charlie Stramel.
Yeah, once Hastings like, 1 year close to that AARP card, buddy. That's 4 minutes a night plus on top of what we got you doing so far. So, you know,
he's got the Sharpie written on like beard and facial hair.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like pretty similar spot where we've been with Stramel past 2 years. Well, more so this year, just because the team's actually fucking really good this year. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, at the end of the day, his best games have come against like some of the best teams in the country, which is always a positive. Like he generally does show up and is at his best and on his best behavior against those teams. So you can't give up on a fucking 19-year-old kid. We could all shit on the draft pick. I think universally everyone was like, there are other players there we would have taken, higher ceiling guys, but
in fairness, though, I still think everyone else, this will make them feel better. When you and I went through our final projections, right? Your kind of dry run mock draft before any trades were made for the first round, I think you had Stramel going 29, which I'm sorry, like that's not a far cry from what was it, 22?
Yeah, something like that.
Like that's not crazy. It's not like this is like a second or third round pick that Judd reached for. Like this is still a first round talent. It's easy to look at the shiny toy and Gabe Perreault, but again, I don't know, Lloyd, the French are assholes. Like, let's stick with our guy.
Stick with him. That's right. And again, not to bring this up again, but the first ever like time we ever talked about Charlie Stramel, I did say at this time his stock was like 10 to 15 probably. I was like, I bet you if he's available when the Wild are picking, that's a guy that they will look at heavily. Be like, oh, big center. He has decent like offensive projection, but he is big and he plays center. I bet they would love that. So there you go. I'm not going to toot my own horn again, but someone's got to do it. So the next two guys played against each other this past weekend. Jack Peart, Riga Lorenz, St. Cloud versus Denver this weekend. First game was Riga Lorenz's day. They kicked the shit out of St. Cloud in game 1. Lorenz found himself on the score sheet once again. Another shorthanded goal for him, and it was an absolute beauty with someone all over him, backhand, forehand, shelf. Peart was just okay that game. Again, much of the same from him in game 1. Game 2, technically a tie. St. Cloud wins in the shootout. Peart finally gets back on the score sheet again, gets an assist in that one, 2 more blocks. But just to focus on Jack Peart first, just a fucking weird year. I think I heard Russo talking about it. They think they'll probably sign him after this year. I would say that's probably the right move at this point, to be honest with you. Like,
I mean, is that mostly because it doesn't seem like he's taken another step this year? They need to do something else for his development, or is it because they're afraid of losing his rights?
I mean, I think it's a combination of both, more so the latter probably, just because like at this point too, like St. Cloud is just a very interesting.
They've looked a lot better since their dog shit start. Like they've come around.
That's the start.
I think they're like 13 right now, aren't they?
Yeah, their record
like good for them.
Yeah, I think they won like 7 straight after like that fucking horrible. They were terrible to watch. And here's the thing too, like a kid like Jack Peart with how he plays, if the team is not going, he is going. It's not going to be fun to watch. He's not throwing those like ridiculous 100-foot stretch passes. He's not skating himself out of the zone. Like it's not going to look good because they never had the puck. But I think, again, like I would like to see a massive jump in production because that's taken a big hit this year. Defensively, he's been pretty good. He's not taking those fucking penalties that drove me nuts his freshman year, where he's just like tripping anyone that would somehow get by him every fucking time. I think this year he's just been like leaned on way more defensively than anything else. Like he's not necessarily on, getting as much power play time. Like he's on the penalty kill way more than I've ever seen him before. Which again, it's not something that we would necessarily like say is one of the things that got him drafted in the second round. But I mean, he still shows those flashes when he does get the puck. Like in transition, he's one of the better defensemen in this prospect pool and in really like in college hockey. Like he does not turn that puck over. Generally speaking, he's going to start that transition every single time. And that's where like a lot of his offensive value comes from. So that hasn't necessarily changed. I think his role's changed a little bit, and it doesn't surprise me that, we heard Russo talking about how they're probably planning on signing him after this year. No reason really for him to go back his senior year either. Unless they like just miss out on national championship he really wants to, which I just don't see that in the cards. So I think overall it probably makes sense for them to not risk losing him and getting like a 4th or 5th round pick. So again, nice to see him get on the score sheet in game 2. So 1 assist in those 2 games. He did, again, he's like blocking shots like a motherfucker now. I think like 4 or 5 blocks. So 20 games this year, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. Again, want to see a major jump there. It's +4, 10 penalty minutes, and like 30 block shots so far. So just want to see more offensively from him because he does have that in his arsenal. Moving on the other side of the ice, Riga Lorenz continues his unbelievably strong bounce back year. So many times last year he was either getting scratched or like thrown on the 4th line, right or left wing, like getting 7-8 minutes a night. He's now firmly on that 2nd line, oftentimes appearing on the 1st line, 1st power play unit. And again, they're using him on the penalty kill, and he's actually scoring shorthanded goals. And every time we talk about it, we have to mention like just the confidence jump. It's like he's a completely different hockey player this year. A lot of that just comes from being given more opportunities, obviously. But like even like last year, if he did get power play time, he was clearly getting it, not looking like he wanted to do anything with the puck. It was just like getting rid of it, throwing it back to the point. Now he's getting it, surveying, looking at what options he has, and he's trying different things that he has in his tool set. So, again, it's just so nice to see the jump in production because like another prospect that they drafted that people who actually watched the league that he was playing in, AJHL, like everyone that watched him said, like, this kid is an absolute force offensively. He's big. The shot is an absolute weapon. He's also capable of making plays. And generally speaking, when he's engaged and he's on, he can play a decent enough two-way game to get away with, again, putting him on the penalty kill. But like the thing that speaks to how different of a hockey player is just the different roles that he's being utilized in. So it's just nice seeing him playing like 18 minutes a night, 19 minutes a night, power play, penalty kill, all situations. He could have they played North Dakota 2 or 3 weeks ago. First 10 minutes of the game, I think he hit one post, fed someone backdoor that they missed, obviously, of course. But he was all over the ice, just creating scoring chances left and right. And again, another goal this week, Shorty, to go along with 4 shots on net. So he's up to 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points, plus 12, 42 shots on net, and 8 block shots in 22 games. So just another great weekend for Reed Lorenz. Love to see it.
Not mad about it.
Look, he is so good. I freaking love watching him play.
They are so good too. Like, that is a team.
They are a problem. Zeev Buyan, by the way, comes back from World Juniors, immediately lights up the score sheet again. He's fucking unbelievable.
That I don't know. Maybe you feel differently, and maybe I'm not plugged in enough, like, nationally, but I feel like there's been no love for Denver this year. They've consistently been a top 5 team, but they've never been looked at as the team. So they've kind of, like, in a weird way, gone under the radar, even though they've been fucking sick.
Yeah, I think they were number 1 or 2 for one weekend. I think it might have been the BC weekend. I can't remember, but like they lost one of the games.
No one said anything about them. Like, it was kind of like a non-event.
Yeah, I think a lot of the commentary has just been like, "Yep, more of the same from Denver. Moving on, nothing to see here. They're just fucking unbelievable." But like up and down that lineup, like they've got guys on their 4th line that like juniors are scoring 45 goals a season. But that's why what's his name is coaching the World Juniors team. Like, he just gets guys to play how they need to play wherever they are in the lineup. And like if one guy has an off weekend, usually they're responding the next weekend in those games with some kind of like phenomenal game, whether it's like producing or just like every guy fills a role. So Denver is an absolute fucking problem. I'll be very curious to see what their odds are. Just given, like you said, that there hasn't been a whole lot of talk other than like, yep, they're still nasty. They're just doing what they always do. I'll be very curious to see what those odds are entering the Frozen Four.
It will be interesting. And who knows, maybe you'll actually get a flight and come out here for it.
Could be. Wild card, bitches.
Remains to be seen.
Yep. Let's see. All right. Minnesota Golden Gophers, Jimmy Clark. Another guy, more of the same, where the stats don't jump off the page, but if you actually just are watching the games, he is pretty much on the ice on any high pressure moment. Anytime like they're not playing well, they throw him over the boards, and he's going to make whatever play you need him to make.
But let's stop though. Like, without even going into deeper context, he has done everything I want to see from him. Like, he's been a very consistent freshman. Then you add in the fact that he was a last minute call in, like, oh shit, Logan Cooley decided he wanted to wear the Kachina, and we kind of need to fill a spot. How do you feel about that? And he's come in and he is beyond delivered. He hasn't done anything that jumps off the page, like you said, but it's a guy that keeps on doing what they need. He has played on all 4 lines. He has given exactly what he needs to. He never like stands out as this like glaring mistake that happens. Just sits there, plays solid, consistent hockey, and every once in a while he pops off and you see that skill that you saw when he was playing in the state tourney, where it's like, oh shit, in a year or two, this guy's going to be a problem for college hockey.
Yeah, and if you watch the games too, like, it's been obviously a very different year for Minnesota, but whenever they get in a pinch where they're like either maybe they're up 1 goal, couple minutes left, and they're just getting hemmed in, goalie freezes the puck, D zone face off. First guy over the boards is Jimmy Clark. I mean, I think he's at like 70% of the face off dot this year. And more often than not, when they need him to like just win a face off, establish possession, he's going to do it. So like, that's what he's kind of just been for Minnesota, where it's like, we're really in a pinch. We need someone to do a job right now and make a play right now. Jimmy Clark over the boards. And like you said, he uprooted, like he was fully planning on playing in the USHL again this year. And like last minute, like, hey man, you want to come figure out like classes, dorm, like, room and board, all that shit. You want to come play for us? By the way, preseason starts in like 4 weeks. Like, yeah, sure. No problem. And just kind of immediately took to college hockey and more than fits any. I mean, he plays like 14, 15, 60 minutes a night, even when nights when he's on like the fourth line, doesn't matter. Like they're going to use him more often than not, just because he is such an important player for them. So I've just, like you said, I've just been so impressed with how he's adapted to college hockey. And so much of what he does, and like the reason that he's leaned on so heavily is just like attention to detail, and like, in those big moments, he's going to make the right play. And like you said, eventually there are times where he jumps over the boards and he does score that who was that OT winner against? Oh God. Was that the Michigan game? Oh, I can't remember. It's going to drive me nuts. But he scored a ridiculous OT winner.
I know which goal you're talking about. I can't think of the team.
I feel like it was Michigan, but I can't remember.
I feel like it wasn't, but now I don't know.
Oh, Michigan State.
That sounds
Michigan State 6-5 OT winner. I think that was the one.
More accurate.
But after a night where I think he played like 22 minutes a night, where he was like pretty much only being utilized in the defensive zone up against other teams' top lines, or up against Michigan State's top line, and then he gets thrown over the boards at OT for a shift. Unbelievable goal. Waits out the goalie, goes shelf. Like, so obviously, I said it at the like. When they got him in the 7th round, I was beyond thrilled. And again, just unbelievably impressive that he kind of just stepped into college hockey and like was like, oh, I'm not the guy that we're gonna lean on for scoring. Okay, I'll do literally everything else and make everyone else's job a whole lot easier. So good for him. Let me just pull up his stat line again because my Google Doc is freezing. 22 games this year, 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points, 37 shots on net. He's a +5, 9 blocks. He's only taken 1 penalty, which is impressive. And again, I think he's clicking right around 65, 70% the faceoff dot. So good for him. Sky's the limit for him in college hockey. I think as the next few years here go on, he may be quite the college hockey player.
Love that. And
all right,
that was a 7th round pick. Whoops.
7th rounder. Whoops.
Sorry, Judd.
Keep the change. Thank you.
All right. Stella Risotto. Thank you.
On what a dish, by the way.
Hang on. No. Every like banger Judd pick that gets made, we give it the scallop risotto stamp of approval.
Get that on Uber Eats. Let me get that fucking shit from Cape Cod, fucking driven all the way over to Boston. Yeah.
If they'll fly that shit out here, I will order it weekly. It was so good. All right, Judd, we need to expand. We need to have a location in the Twin Cities. We will partner with you on it. Details to come. Let's make it happen. We'll discuss it as soon as you jump on the podcast with us.
That's right, baby. We'll go through every single pick. We'll do an hour on each individual pick since he showed up. It will. He'll hate it. He'll hate it. I'll love it.
We're gonna host every draft at that location that gets established here too.
At my apartment. All right, let's go live to Judd Brackett. Yeah, fucking.
Looks like a guy in a hostage video.
He's like, yes. Help. All right, moving on. He'll never come on now. All right. Now. UMD Bulldogs, Aaron Pionk. Very weird season for UMD. They started off pretty well, and Pionk was all over the score sheet there. Then they lost about 800 games in a row. Pretty much the production for every player on that team took a massive dive. Now they're playing decent. They're playing like 500 hockey. They played Colorado College, who's like a pain in the ass to play against. Every game that I watch of theirs, like they have a brutal schedule, first of all. Like they're always going up against like top 15 teams. And they are just, again, the biggest pain in the ass. Where like, you're not going to blow them out. They're going to be right in the game. They're physical. It's just like a slog of a game. And that was again the case this week with UMD. They're probably pretty similar in terms of just like overall talent pool. But game
how
1, 3
are they to have lost Isaac Howard?
Yeah, that's gotta be just you can't
that one
lose.
Stings to touch.
Yeah,
especially
that
sick hat that he made. Oh my god.
Yeah, God, what a
That's
he is unbelievable.
But yeah, that was an impressive performance.
Yeah, big time. Game 1, 3-2 win. Game 2, 3-2 loss. So there you go. That's like the epitome of like how Colorado College has done this year. I mean, like UMD obviously isn't a top team, but
they gave the Gophers a run.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. I feel like there's been a whole lot of games UMD too where like a bunch of those games against like the top 20 teams, it's been like back and forth, and eventually third period, it's just like
I was saying Colorado College.
Well, there you go. They were both same thing, two different teams, I guess. Let me just pull up that stat sheet again. Nothing crazy. The thing with the 3-2 game, the Sunday game, was quite like just a back and forth high event. I'm sorry, the first game on Saturday. Whenever they play Saturday, Sunday, it always fucking throws me off instead of Friday, Saturday. The first game
playing on a Monday last week, so that threw me for a whole loop.
I hated that a whole lot. It really,
especially when there was like 5 other games on at the same time. I think it was like Pitt, Philly, Minnesota, Dallas, and the national championship game. I'm like, the fuck?
What am I supposed to do? But the first game, there we go. I got that one right this time. Very back and forth affair. The goaltending on both sides very good, but Pionk didn't find the score sheet this weekend, but was just rifling shots on the point. Game 2, he probably missed. I think he probably had like 12 or 13 shot attempts and just did not sniff the net. First game, he put up 5 and on net. But he is just like the classic was a forward, switched to D, and found out that he was very good as a defenseman. And that's just like every time he plays, like, yep, that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, I think he's 4th on that team in points right now. And again, another guy like UMD is just kind of not UMD of old, where like they're a top whatever team, just like pain in the ass play against, and like more often than not going to eke out a victory against some of the best teams in the country. But they're still like, they still have a few players there. Quinn Olson, Bruins prospect, I think he's like 75 years old. I have no idea how he's still eligible to play college hockey. It's fucking unbelievable. He's like Johnny Walker at Arizona State, who's now in the ECHL. Apparently he's just like a goon now, fun fact. He has like 140 penalty minutes. But again, a lot of the same stuff from Pionk, where it's just like very involved offensively. Defensively, he's a decent enough against, like, he's a good rush defender where he can kill plays, runs into trouble once there's like extended possession, like can get lost a little bit. And that's like, oh yeah, okay, this kid was a forward. But but like enough there that you can work with that. Like, again, like in terms of skating, hockey, like you could work with a player like that. So he's another intriguing one. Son of Neil Pionk of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes. Do you worry though with a guy like him, like making the late change in position and being a little bit more of a raw talent? Do you think that the Wild are going to pull him too early to keep his rights, or are they going to risk him going to free agency and hope he'll stay, like let him play out the 4 years, or what's that look like?
No, I think you can let that play out. I mean, I have to do this every fucking time I compare prospects, but like Mason Lowry with the Bruins, he was a forward up until like his junior year of high school. So like, and then decided to go be a defenseman at Ohio State, was one of the best defensemen in the country. Now he's playing in the NHL. They were very patient with him, and they let him play.
In the country.
Well, he's also not playing for Ohio State. So Ohio State, like he hit college when they started being a top 15 team. Like UMD is just in it's a different situation. I'm saying like similar in terms of like the positional stuff.
Right.
And again, I think there's enough tools there. All right. You're also not banking on him. You're not like, we need him to hit, like, so if they have time to let him marinate, I think.
No, right. But again,
I know what you mean.
I'm just always on edge with college kids. Like, do you worry about him going where he wants?
No,
if you wait too long.
Really.
Okay. Do you think they should go away from that or do you like that rule? Like, not from like, obviously it's great for the players. I'm saying more like from the league perspective. The NCAA is the only situation where a player can literally just play it out and then go to whatever team they want. It seems weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be weird if the league came in and was like, we're going to take away some power now. Because like the players are already at like I think it'd be, I'm fine with it. I think is where I guess that's what that means. I'm fine with it.
Why can't you in any other developmental league play long enough that your rights are no longer held? I don't know.
Well, you can. It's just it
doesn't happen though. College, it makes sense.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. Like, well, you see it plenty of times. I mean, like, we can stick with Minnesota, like Andrei Svetlikov. Eventually, they traded him to Boston, which was like a nothing trade.
Right. I guess the reason I care
Guskov's the same thing. They will not sign him.
Right. But I care more from the angle of like, there are a lot of scenarios where a player should play all 4 years of college for their development and to get a degree, like all of the basic reasons. And these NHL teams are going to kind of bully them into signing because they don't want to lose out on their rights. And I don't like that from a lot of angles.
Yeah. When you phrase like that, I know I see what you're saying.
Like,
it is a weird. It is a very.
You say like through the end of their college year, you still hold their rights, kind of thing. I know that's giving them longer retention on rights, but it's just like, I don't know. It almost deters drafting a college player in some senses. Like, It's obvious when you're at the top of the draft and you're like, yeah, they're going to play freshman year and they're going to come. Cool. It's those other guys, the guys that are going like late first, second, third, fourth. Those are the guys that, like, I'd love to see Charlie Stramel play at least 3, if not 4 years of college, then make the jump to pro, because there's clearly things he can still work out in college hockey. That's just like one immediate example. It's just, I personally don't like the rule. I love it for the players. Like, great, they get an extra like arrow in the quiver, but I don't know. It seems weird that they're unique in that sense of being able to capitalize on that. And you see players taking teams hostage, like a Fox, like a VC, like, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I do think when I would say like it's still like when it does happen, like with a higher profile player, like it becomes big news. Obviously, I still think there's like less of that going on than like teams actually letting guys play it out or whatever. So I don't know. It's interesting, but the practicality of like what would be the I guess just changing the amount of time on like the right stuff for college guys. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. And to wrap on that, Aaron Pionk, 21 games, 1 goal, 10 assists, 11 points, 55 shots on net. Still a +4, which is actually impressive with some of the they have got the absolute shit kicked out of him a few times. So the fact that he's still a plus player, and I think they're like a couple of games under 500, that's quite impressive. So a whole lot of room to grow there. Plenty of runway, a lot of tools. We love that. So we can move on. One of the more intriguing guys in an organization with such a deep prospect pool in general, but also the back end, Ryan Healy at Harvard. Harvard is horrible. This is the worst they've been in a very long time because pretty much every top player at every position signed and left. Big one there being Coronado. They did win on Saturday, which gave them their second win of the year. That being said, Ryan Healy is playing probably 7 or 8 more minutes a night than he was last year. And he is taking that responsibility and running with it. He is, I believe now he's second on the team in points, but 2 games this weekend, scored in both. Power play weapon. Also add an assist in their 5-3 loss against Brown with all of these minutes that he's now playing, like he is literally on the ice like 30 minutes a night at this point. Whole lot of dashes that comes with that. And a whole lot of Harvard scoring comes on the power play, which is obviously where he's going to get the majority of his points. So the plus minus is not looking amazing, but that tends to be what happens when you are a top minute getter on a not good hockey team. I think they're like 2-10-2 at this point. But just got named ECAC defenseman of the week. Again, I think he's only failed to find the score sheet in like 3 or 4 of these games, but he is phenomenal to watch. Like I said this before, I don't think I've ever seen him dump a puck in. Like if he has it, he is going to look to make a play. He is unbelievable at walking the blue line, creating lanes. He's got a great shot. So he is like another kid that's got a whole lot of tools and just another one that fits that profile of like elite skating, very creative, incredible in transition defenseman that like, I think this year you looked at the draft, like they targeted big centers. Since Judd'z stepped in, pretty much every defenseman, the first thing that jumps out is like, oh, they are an unbelievable skater. And that's where a lot of Healy's defensive prowess comes into. Another guy that like is very good at just killing plays and starting to transition the other way. So I think, you look at his like point total, very impressive. I think he's already pretty close to his point total all of last year, just given the fact that he was oftentimes playing on the third pair last year, didn't get a whole lot of power play time. This year, he's like number 1 defenseman, number 1 PK, number 1 power play, number 1 just overall defenseman. In like he is always on the ice. It's on. If I'm half watching Harvard and I look away, every time I'm watching, like he is on the ice and he usually has the puck. So, very, very fun player to watch, dude. Like electric, and again wants to make a play every single time he has the puck. So big time jump in points given the elevated like opportunity and just role in general. So he is their go-to guy both offensively and defensively. So 2 games this weekend, 2 goals with an assist, 3 points, 9 shots on net, -2 with a block shot. Again, ECAC defensive player or defenseman of the week. 15 games a season, 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points with 40 shots on net, 6 penalty minutes, -16, and 15 block shots. Honestly, the fact that he's only like just over a dash per game on that fucking Harvard team is again, like there's some guys like -24. So.
Norris nominee.
Dude, like he just like lives on the ice. There's like, no, stay out there. He's like, fuck, all right, Jesus Christ. God damn it. He's like a 3 or 4 year college guy, but like so much upside there, like so much upside. So it'll be interesting to see where that plays out. And the more guys that just watching this fucking NHL team right now, the more prospects that you have on the back end that are very good at running a power play, it makes me happy, at least they're coming eventually. So high ceiling kid. Long-term project, same thing like we said with Kyle Masters when they first drafted him, one of my favorite fucking prospects of all time. Although he definitely skipped a few steps this past couple of years just in terms of like the outline how long it would take for him to be ready. But Ryan Healy, great year so far on just God, that Harvard team, dude. Like, oh my God. I feel bad. Like they're getting the shit. They got the shit kicked out of them on Friday by Brown, who
fucking nerds.
Their fucking jerseys are football jerseys. They literally like it's home and away. They have like the fucking giant ass fucking numbers on the front, like a fucking football jersey. And I'm like, man, you can't get your ass kicked by that
like those USA World Junior jerseys in Buffalo.
Yeah,
those are gross. I hated them.
Yeah, imagine being the team that gets your fucking ass whooped by those guys. Fucking. That sucks.
Not great.
That sucks. Whatever. Either way, Healy, great season so far. Very fun to watch. All right, last college guy. I would say very much forgotten / lost in the full or Nate Benoit, people probably forgot that they drafted him in the 6th round a couple years ago. He has been getting on and off scratched at North Dakota this year. Obviously, North Dakota, very good team. He is like what I would imagine. I think they're hoping he turns into what they had in Tyler Clevin. Big, fucking mean as shit, very physical, defensive oriented, but like can skate and actually does have like some decent offensive tools. He played in both games this weekend for the first time, I think, since he got there. First game, 5-4 loss in overtime against Omaha, put up an assist, his first point in college hockey. And then game 2, they win 3-1 against Omaha. He's a +1 with another block shot. Only played in 11 games this year with the 1 assist. He's only taken 5 shots on net. And it's a +1 with 4 penalty minutes, 7 block shots. Again, another guy, I think there's enough tools there that are like make him a very like intriguing. Given his situation playing at North Dakota, this is a player that I think will be leaned on much more heavily when he's probably like a junior. We'll see what happens next year as a sophomore, but He's very young. Shout out. He's from Bow, New Hampshire. Love that for me and him. So you know what? He's actually my favorite hockey player in the world. He's a New Hampshire guy. But he looked really good. I actually tuned into the second game. Of course, I missed his fucking assist. But he played like 18, 19 minutes, was hitting everything that fucking moved, and looked great defensively. So nice to see him get on the score sheet, though. Get his first college point. That does it for college hockey.
Boom. All right. Do you think we can wrap up Europe?
We can rip through. Yes.
Let's just stick to the ones that actually might come to Minnesota. We can skip over the first-offs and the Guskov.
Yeah, we won't touch on Guskov. First off, and Yurov did play against each other the other night. So
okay, we can kind of lump them into one then.
All right, let's start with Husatinov. 1 game this week, 3-1 win against Akbars, 23 shifts, 17.5 minutes, +1 with only 1 shot on net, 7 for 17 at the faceoff dot with a takeaway. He's in quite the scoring slump. Sochi has been horrible lately. Like, I think this is their first win in like a couple of weeks. Like, they've been getting the shit kicked out of them. They never have the puck. And he hasn't been quite as impressive as when he first got there. So this is the first time I've been like, oh, this looks like old Ska Husatinov. He'll get himself out of it. He'll be fine. He's a very good prospect. But like the past few weeks, it's just been rough go for him and Sochi in general. But yeah, just not at his best right now. So 39 games, 16.5 minutes time on ice, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. He's -11, 6 PIMs. The big thing for me, and it reflects just like in his production, he's only taken 46 shots on goal this year, which like the big part of him taking such a big jump last year, like with that, like with getting more ice time, he just found himself on the puck, was willing to actually fucking shoot and like get involved in the offense that way. Right now, he's definitely just looking to facilitate. Like the whole team, again, is looking brutal in terms of confidence and just like any kind of playmaking offensively. But the 46 shots on net for me, if you're only averaging just over 1 a game and you're like first or second line center, you really want to see like double that. So that's the one thing that's really jumped out at me. Like he's not even looking like he's gonna score. Doesn't look like he wants to shoot ever. So that's one thing that's stuck out. Just under 50% of the faceoff dot this year. He's blocked 36 shots, 38 hits and 13 takeaways. God, I will never forget that. That was insane. And that's Husatinov. So there you go. I went through that one pretty quick. Danil Yurov, the heater continues. 2 games this week. 6-2 win against Spartak on Sunday. 3 points, 2 goals with an assist. He's a +3, so all 3 points came at even strength. At the beginning of the year, a lot of those points were coming on the power play by way of them being on the power play a lot. 7 shots on net, so there you go. Big difference there. He is looking to get it and fucking rip it. He played second line center that game, went 11 for 16 at the faceoff dot. He is just feeling it. And again, last year before, like in his draft year, like we were very worried about how the long-term like effect on his development that just getting benched in the KHL every fucking game would have. Coaching change, 1 year older, signs that contract in the offseason. Like now he's getting looks. They're actually using him at center, at wing, top six, and it's working. So very positive, obviously. He just looks phenomenal. What's today? What? It's Wednesday. So that when you're listening to this, 2 days ago, 7-4 loss Torpedo and Vlad first of. That was a rough one, 7-4 loss. No one on Meadowlark was very good at all. Some of the goals against were legitimately comical. Like comical was like, oh, that guy's never played goalie before. They must have had the fucking like e-bug in. But either way, so 2 games this week, get the 3 points. Played a lot of center, so that's always good. 50 games, 16 goals, 29 points, plus 600 shots on net. So that's always good to see there. Actually, no, that's the wrong stat line. He's got like 40 something points. Actually, I know that for a fact. Either way, 2-way player, producing almost at a point per game. He looks phenomenal. Great to see. Vlad first off, whatever. Assist in their 7-4 win against Euros Meadowlark. We'll see if he ever plays
favorite in the prospect rankings every year.
Unbelievable. When he came out, he's like, first of. That's my guy. That's the best prospect in this pool.
Good joke, dude.
Nailed it, Isha. 1 game in the AHL, immediately goes to the KHL. Nailed it. Thanks a lot, Isha. That's because of you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, the ceiling's there, dude. Like, he's a fucking good player, so I'm very curious to see if he ever comes back.
Trade is right. Trade is right.
Will. Yeah, there you go. Pick up pick. Fuck, dude, he's playing really well. He puts up crazy points in the KHL for such a young player. So he's intriguing. That's why he was a second round pick, but it's like 30 points in 48 games, I think. So that's first off, but we don't have to talk about Kuzkov because I think I got scratched in all 3 games this week. Last one, we're going over to Sweden. Liam Ogren. He is so fucking back. So fucking back.
I don't know. He pouted a little bit about Team USA beating him.
That's all right. He can do whatever he wants. I don't care. You know what? I'm on his side. Fuck those guys. Fuck those guys. Team Sweden. I did pick Sweden, but he graduated. So he came back from injury a couple weeks before the World Juniors, was pretty much playing 8-9 minutes a night on that 4th line. I think he scored in his 3rd game back, immediately elevated to the 2nd line. Now he's on their 1st line, playing right now 15 minutes. 1 game this week, scored 2 goals. With 5 shots on net, 9 shot attempts. We love that. Plus 2 with a hit. So now in 7 games, he's going for the Cy Young. 7 games in SHL this year. He's got 4 goals, 4 points, 4 PIMs, 16 shots on net with a hit, and he is a +2. But just good to see him back on the ice. And literally every time he has the puck, he's looking to fucking rip it. Love that for him. He looks great in the SHL this year. His first year in the SHL. So that's great. Again, I think we've said this before. Will be interesting to see what he does, whether he signs for another year in the SHL. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, to be honest with you. Like, maybe he can go the whole year without getting injured, play top 6 minutes in one of the best leagues in the world. At this point, with all the contracts that have been signed in Minnesota, like, there's not a whole lot of spots available in that top 6 anyways. Do you really want him to go play in Iowa? I don't know. So we'll see what happens, next year. But he looks so good in the SHL, which is awesome to see. And Färjestad's one of the best teams in the SHL. So overall, now that he's healthy again, he looks great. And it's always good to see him get in the score sheet, especially with 2 goals this week. So there you go. That's the full roundup. We did it in just under 2 hours. Nailed it.
Did it. Did the thing.
That used to be me by myself for 2 hours, no guardrails, no one to be like, hey, man.
I mean, in fairness, the only guardrails I put up throughout that entire prospect perspective was Europe being like, hey, think you can do it in 12 minutes? You're like, oh, yeah? Is that a fucking challenge? That's the only reason you did it.
Yeah, hold on. All right, here we go.
I don't know. I've seen you playing with your nose a lot. Why?
Just did a lie with a guy in the bathroom. I bet you could barely spot him. The guy's to the jump rope, punches someone in the face, jumps up there and down. Shout out Ted too. Great movie.
There's
Anyways,
a new show, by the way.
I know. I actually got the advertisement for that only on audio through a podcast. I was like, wait, what? How are you gonna? Oh, don't ruin the movies. Don't ruin the movies for me.
Maybe it's good. I mean, think about it. Seth MacFarlane was built for TV.
I mean, if you just basically make Peter Griffin the teddy bear, like, you know, that's like, we'll see what happens.
Basically done.
Yeah, he is a funny fucking bastard, dude. He's a funny motherfucker. Big fan of when he would host the Comedy Central roasts. I thought he was so good at hosting them, where he would be funny.
Several?
But
I know he hosted one. I didn't know he hosted multiple.
He hosted 2 or 3.
Okay.
And he's good at like being very funny, but only staying up there for a few minutes and then getting out of the fucking way. So I think that's always key for those fucking hosts too. I don't want them up there the whole time. There's a reason that there's the fucking whole dais.
It's also funny though that everyone like gets so upset, especially because of all the like incredible girls that he wheels. People rip so hard on Pete Davidson, and that's fine. Like I get where people don't think he's funny.
At those.
Him on those roasts is electric. He is the funniest person on those roasts, and I don't think it's even close.
I think it was like Kevin Hart. You look like Shaq's dick.
and his reactions too when people rip on him. Like it was Jimmy Carr goes up there. He's like, I, for one, am appalled by all the comments that people are making about Pete Davidson's father. This is not the roast of Pete Davidson's father. That was in 2001. And Pete Davidson like just sits back. He's like, oh, that was dope. That was dope.
Dying laughing. Oh, God damn it.
And everyone else is like, oh, my God. Like, what?
Like, is it okay to laugh at that? He's like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Pete's like, oh, that's dope.
Good joke. Nailed
it. Him with Ann Coulter is far and away the best.
We can't even say what
Ann Coulter, if you're here, who's carrying the crows away from our crops?
It's so good.
It's so fucking good.
He like viscerally hates her too. And like he's doing the jokes and
she's awful.
Yeah. Yeah, they all have good points, you know. He is phenomenal on those fucking roasts, my God.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks to everyone who stayed in here.
You can't have fun anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. Do we have any comments that we missed before we want to sign off here?
There were a lot of comments. I hit the ones that I could. Those of you that I didn't, message me directly. We'll rectify it next week.
Next week, mailbag?
Potentially.
Mailbag episode could be a good time for it.
Nailed it.
If I remember to put the tweet out. Yeah, let's fucking commit. Let's commit to a mailbag. We'll do that next week. We'll put a tweet out. I gotta actually remember to give out the correct Gmail address people can send questions to as well. If people don't want to put them on Twitter, that is spokedz11@gmail.com. Feel free to send the questions in through there, or we'll put up a tweet.
Z33.
Somehow I believe that one was not available, and I was like, who the fuck did this? How is this possible?
Z wasn't available? Like, who has that?
Needed a number. I'm a big numbers guy, you know, which is why the fucking CHL websites really piss me off with their face-off shit, because then I have to fucking put it in manually myself, and it drives me insane. It's most likely incorrect. I'm gonna start coming out and be like, yeah, he's like 98% face-off dot.
Tough luck.
So you know, it's fine. Anyways, we'll do that next week. We've now just committed to it. If we have an episode, it's always 50-50 anyways. So, anything else before we sign off here? Happy?
Nailed it. Did the thing.
Perfect. Mateo did ask how Lambos is doing in Iowa. I would say 50-50. On some nights he's looking phenomenal, where he is feeling confident to get the puck, playing 25 minutes a night. Other nights he's not. You know who's lighting it? You know who's lighting up fucking Iowa? Caden Bankier. Thank you. Keep the change. He's got like 3 multi-goal games. He's a beast. Love him. Wouldn't be shocked to see him get a game or two in the NHL this year. Sign us off. Maybe.
Like play the outro or sign us off. Those are different things.
I don't really know. I don't know. I thought it might sound all right. It sounded like shit though.
Right, you are, Ken.